Hey guys, welcome back to Epic Cars, and I'm moving on to another project from a couple of videos ago that I showed you. Have this BMW 750iL on the rack here. Starter went out a few weeks ago, and I'm just now kind of getting back to the point where I can work on it. So I'm going to show you what I was talking about. It's a pretty difficult access to be able to get to that starter, but I've got most of it tore down already. Mainly I ran out of or I had to kind of I came to an impasse yesterday when I was working on it because I just didn't have a certain tool, and that is one of these U-joints for a socket set. And so I had the little 1/4 inch, but I didn't have a 3/8 and I didn't have the 1/2 inch drive U-joint or extension set to be able to reach the top bolt on the actual starter itself. And so I had to go down and purchase this today. So going to get the starter out today. The actual replacement starter doesn't come in until tomorrow. I've got one wire to disconnect and basically one bolt to disconnect and then drop that starter out. But I'll show you what's been done so far and just allow you to kind of see the progress of getting to a 750iL V12 starter, because it's a booger. Alright everybody, I'm underneath the car here, trying to kind of get you a good look at up in there. That is where the actual starter is, up in that area. You can see it right here, kind of see the edge of it right there. And in order to get to it, you can see that I had two downpipes coming off the exhaust manifold, and they were coming back to this exhaust setup right here. These two tubes going back into my catalytic converters, and then obviously back through the mufflers and to the tips. And so again, what's cool about this V12 is kind of give you a little better shot of the underside here. You got basically a quad exhaust coming off each side. So it looks like to me, I don't have exact counts on this, but since this is a V12, 6 cylinders on this side, 6 cylinders on this side, you basically have exhaust manifolds that are holding 3 cylinders worth of exhaust gases each, coming down each side, and then they go into these 2 pipes, then get condensed down into the 1 pipe here, go through the catalytic converter here, and then through the muffler, and then out each tip on each side. This has actually got dual tips. And so in order to get to the starter, you had to take off those downpipes. Well, those downpipes are right there. There's a bunch of heat shields. This actually goes around the starter itself as a heat shield. That's a little heat shield, and then you got the 2 downpipes that are going down into the actual exhaust system itself. So I had to take all of that off. Other thing you had to do was you had to loosen up the exhaust system itself. So that strap had to come down. There's kind of this cross strap here that holds the exhaust system in place. Had to loosen all that up in order to get those downpipes out. So as you can tell, up in there is a pretty tight area to be able to get this starter out, and that's why it's such a hard item to change out. I mean, it's not a hard item, it's just getting access to it's kind of difficult. Alright guys, got the starter out. My hands are dirty, and finally got it out. Man, it's a booger. That top bolt on the very top of the starter, really hard to get to, really hard to get your hands up there. There's a bunch of wiring harnesses that kind of come down by the side the transmission, and just getting anything up there is just tough. About the last thing it was just getting, there's 3 wires attached to the starter, getting those off and then dropping it. And then really the hardest part, again, which kind of describes the entire project of why it's so difficult, because it's such compact space, of actually getting the starter out and down is kind of the tough part. You have to kind of I had to kind of go up towards the lower A arm, and then come down towards the front and kind of angle it out and get it to fall, because there's just not a way to get it out. So, you know, again, it's just BMW, I guess, engineering at its finest. Just tough to get to. So it is out, awaiting the new starter to come in. It'll be in tomorrow. When I pulled out the starter, no teeth are broken. I checked the flywheel, no teeth are broken there. So I think it's just the starter itself was not active. You know, the actuator in there that throws that arm forward just wasn't working. So I'm pretty sure it's just a bad starter. So hopefully that's what it is, and we get it down the road and back, or I should say back on the road. Another thing I wanted to talk about today, towards the end of this video, is just why did I get in the car hobby to begin with? Well, obviously it was something that I've always been interested in cars. I've always been interested in kind of how they work and how eclectic the car culture is. Everything from, you know, Model Ts all the way up to the brand new EV vehicles. What I think is really unique about the car culture in general is, for example, I just went to that Oklahoma City Cars and Coffee, and I put that video out there about a week or so ago. What's cool about it is, I mean, you've got a McLaren sitting, you know, $200,000 McLaren sitting right next to a guy's, you know, $4,000 beater. That it's his first car, he's fixing it up, he's getting it started, you know, kind of going in the right direction, hopefully. And then it's sitting literally in the parking spot next to it is this $200,000 state-of-the-art, you know, supercar. And those two guys are talking to each other. They're talking about the car culture. They're talking about just their stories. And even though they come from different socioeconomic backgrounds, they come from different sides of the track, whatever you want to say about that, they came together with a common bond, which is the automobile and the love of automobile and car culture. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. So if you're just now getting into the car culture, that is one of the side effects that you get. You start building some really good friendships with people that you wouldn't normally probably run across in your day-to-day life. You know, it's you've got different races, you've got different sexes, you've got different, like I said, economic backgrounds, you've got different people that are kind of melting together in this pot of car culture, and it's just cool. You can go down a line of a car show or at a Cars and Coffee event and just stop and talk to these people. And again, they come, there's different ages. There's guys, there's the old timers that are there that know everything about, you know, the older cars and have done about just about everything, to the drifting, you know, kind of side of things, and the import scene, to Corvette guys, to truck guys, to diesel guys. I mean, you've got EV, electric vehicles. You've got the weird one-offs. A guy messaged me after watching that Oklahoma City Cars and Coffee video, and he had a he called it, I think it's called a tut-tut. It was that real unique three-wheeled vehicle. It was from India, and he messaged me and said, "Hey, thanks for, you know, having my tut-tut make the cut on the picture or on the video." And again, that's just a cool thing about it, is there's so many different varieties of people coming together: motorcycle guys, car guys, truck guys, whatever, and they're coming together to just bond over the car. The other reason I got into it was because of my girls, my two daughters and my wife. That, you know, it's something that they can enjoy with me. It's something that they can participate in, and it's not just you know, teaching them how to change oil and, you know, take a tire off and that kind of stuff, which is very important, and we've done all those things. But also the fact that when I'm done with a project, you know, my '63 Ford Falcon sitting right next to me here, when I'm done fixing that up, and I want to run uptown and get a Coke or something, you know, I ask the girls to go with me, and it's enjoyable for them. We put the dog in, we put the girls in, and we go up to Sonic and we get something to drink. You know, it's just something that you can participate together with your family, with your spouse, with your significant other, and just, you know, work on the relationship side of automobiles. I think that's a pretty cool thing. Probably the last reason why I'm into the car culture is obviously because of my family heritage. My grandfather was a master mechanic his entire life. My other grandfather was a mechanic out in the oil patch. He worked on mainly pumping units, things like that. My father was very mechanical in nature. He's a petroleum engineer, but he was really mainly into woodworking, not so much metalwork and automobiles. But he always had an interest in it, and, you know, anytime I have a question, he can typically help me figure something out. When I was a younger boy, I'd go up to my grandparents for the summer for a month or so, and I got to go with my grandfather, who was the master mechanic, to work, and so I'd get up and I'd go to work with them. And it was so interesting. I was too young, guys, to really comprehend everything that was going on or pay attention. I was probably 10, 11 years old, so I didn't really care. You know, I was more interested in riding my bike around, you know, the shop or throwing dirt clods at birds or, you know, whatever, than coming in and learning how to rebuild an engine. But my grandfather, you know, had the ability to come in the morning, get started on a car, tear the engine down, by lunch, send it out to the machine shop. We'd go home, eat lunch with Grandma. And you know, it was a cool thing about Grandma always had the sandwiches and the chips and the Kool-Aid and that kind of stuff all set out for us, because, you know, she knew we'd be home at a certain time. We'd eat. Grandpa would lay on the living room floor on his back, take about a 15-minute nap. We'd get back up and head back to work, and all in about an hour. Obviously, this is a pretty small town. We'd get back. The heads and the, you know, all that stuff would be coming back from the machine shop around 1 o'clock, 1:30ish, and Grandpa would have that engine back together and running by the time we left. You know, that's something that I wish I look back and you know, with regret that I wasn't older to really pay attention to that stuff and kind of see how that all worked. But I was around it. One of my best memories I have. And I don't know if it's a memory, but it's one of those things where it just gets into your soul. I walked into my other grandpa's shed, and you could just smell the dirt and the grease and the oil, and it just has this smell to it. And even to this day, if I smell that smell, it takes me back to walking in that shed with my grandfather and looking for a tool or just working with him. He was a big fisherman. And so he kept an old refrigerator out there with all his night crawlers in it. You know, that we would go and at night try to catch night crawlers if it was raining or something, to where we could put them in this medium in this styrofoam container and put it in a refrigerator, and then it was there for the next time we went fishing. He kept his refrigerator in that shop. Just stuff like that, guys. It's all about memories, and so that's what this shop is. It's kind of paying homage to my grandparents, to my grandfathers, who really helped build this country, and the automobile was a very important part of that. And so it's in my blood, and that's just where it's going to be probably till the day I die. But most importantly, it's something a hobby that I can enjoy with my family, with my children. Pass this on hopefully someday to my grandchildren. I've made a lot of really good friends in the car culture. And just also I use it almost like a ministry too sometimes, in the fact that you know, God put me on this planet for a reason, and there's a lot of reasons I think I'm here, but one of those reasons is I can help out when needed, and I can use my hands to help somebody in need. And there's a lot of times that I have people that just have car problems, that they're just not mechanically inclined, they don't know much about it, that I'll chip in and say, hey, what can I do to help you with your car? And I might not be able to fix it, but I can at least diagnose it. I can at least maybe point them in a better direction and help them out. And so that's one of the reasons. Just today, a lady asked me about it when I was at church. And I was like, yeah, you know, just let me help you out. Tell me what you're looking at. Let me look at the car. Let me figure that out. And I hope I can help her, you know, further her ability with the difficult decision on buying a car or fixing a car that she has. So I look at it as almost like a mission, and that's just, you know, how I look at things. So guys, overall, the car culture is a really cool thing to be involved in. Thank you for all the comments that you continue to leave on my videos. Thanks for following or subscribing to the channel. Thanks for the likes. I really love the comments. It's really helping me out, keeping my kind of morale up, moving forward from a standpoint of producing videos. This is a little harder than it looks, trying to come up with good content to keep you guys interested on a week-to-week basis, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a really good time. So thank you very much for going through this experience with me. I appreciate that. So guys, take care. God bless. Epic Cars. I'll be coming out next week with another video. Hopefully we'll have this beast on the road pretty quick and back out driving me back and forth, and it'll free up a little bit of space so I can get the rest of my cars in here. Several of my cars are selling over the next few weeks, so they'll be gone, but just making room for next projects. So guys, appreciate it. Take care.